Hello, everyone. Welcome for joining us today. I'm so excited to be here with you. And I want to say thank you to Karen for inviting me to present this workshop, share with you guys what I'm working on. And I have a couple of really exciting things I'll share with you guys at the end as well. But before we get started, I wanted to just check in to see who here is already showing up on camera. Just throw one in the chat if you are, and if you're really new to showing up on camera in any way, throw two in there just so I know where we're all at. I would love to get a vibe. Got some ones and some twos. Awesome. Showing up on camera. Diana's like, are you recording video? Are you doing live streaming? Maybe even Zoom calls where you have to flip on a camera and talk and present, maybe not even presenting, maybe just showing up. We're on camera right now. Is everyone on camera? No, we have some people not on camera, but this is showing up on camera. There's different mediums, different platforms, and they all do require slightly different skills. So, which we're going to talk about today as well. Okay, so if you guys are ready, then yes. Okay, showing up on camera. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and I'm trying something new today because I just learned this. I did a little tech thing with Natalie this morning to make sure everything's working because there's a lot of technical stuff that happens behind the scenes. So I'm gonna try this side by side sharing with this screen. And let me know if you guys see it okay. This is the first time I'm going to be beside it. Okay. And I'm looking over here because this is where you guys are with the chat. So I might ask some questions and get you guys to throw some things in the chat. Okay, awesome. So this is the ultimate camera confidence workshop, being authentically you. And Authentically You is the name of my community. And the reason that it's all connected because confidence, and we're going to get into all of this today, of course, but it comes from somewhere inside us that we're going to hopefully uncover. Okay, so before I get started, just a little bit of a disclaimer because sometimes we get into some deeper conversations. Workshop is strictly based on my personal experience in my 20 plus years in my career and life experiences as well, educational purposes. I cannot guarantee any success, but my highest intention is that I just want to share with you from my personal experience with integrity and to help you move forward on your journey in the most effective way possible. And as always, take what resonates and just leave the rest. So authenticity doesn't itself automatically guarantee success, but inauthenticity guarantees failure. And this is just a quote I found by Jamie Kern Lima, who is a self-made billionaire, a woman, and that's a B for billionaire, which is amazing. And this is what she shared. And I just love when I hear successful people use the word authenticity because I'm hearing it more and more now how it is so important that that is how we connect, right? And move forward on our path, whatever that path may be. So before I get into the confidence part, for those of you who I haven't met yet, hello, I'm Elfina Luk, and I just want to share a little bit about how I got here to be on school from where I came from and how this has all happened over the past 20 years. So I've spent over 20 years in front of the camera and behind the camera, and both in as an actor, as a host, as uh, um, on mic as a voice actor as well, and singing. And here's some pictures I'm going to show you guys. So we're from my journey. So this is a photo from I don't know how many years now, but that's Simu Liu. If you guys don't know him, he has now become a superhero, action superhero Marvel. And so in this previous picture, this was when we worked on a little Canadian show in Toronto called Blood and Water, and he played my brother. And so I knew him before he became a superstar, and it's pretty cool to see someone's progress and grow and then hit it, and you're like, wow, I knew him back then. And I'm really, really happy for his career and everything that he's doing. And this is a shot from a movie I did called Sonic the Hedgehog. It's probably one of the bigger movies I've done. And this was fun because it's a kids movie, so I would get text messages from my friends saying their kids saw me and they were really excited. So I love that one for that reason. And I did a Hollywood blockbuster with The Rock. This was the LA premiere with the director, and that's Rawson Thurber. But I did meet The Rock. I worked with him on set, and was it he showed up on a helicopter? It was quite insane. It was a really, really big production in Vancouver at the time. We played as Hong Kong at the time. And in the movie, that's Nev Campbell. That's the back of her head. If you guys remember Party of Five, Nev Campbell, that's where she's from. She uh, is a really lovely actress and really humble. So it's really nice to meet awesome people when you're working on set with them. And then I did a stint of 7 seasons on a show called The Good Doctor, which some of you guys may or may not have seen. It's just recently launched on Netflix in the UK. So I think it's just getting over there now and it's coming to Netflix in Canada as well. So that's really exciting. That's Freddie Highmore. And he was in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Bates Motel. And that's Richard Schiff's head right there. I worked for 7 years with these guys. So that was a long haul. And then behind the scenes as well, I've worked as a producer. This is on a feature teaser that we were filming in Jakarta a few years back. And over there, it's not like Hollywood at all. So it's kind of like the Wild West. So I learned a lot about, doing things in a way that's not maybe kosher over here. So you're kind of bridging the connections with that. So that was a really interesting project. And we're actually in the process of getting it greenlit right now. It's optioned with a production company. Option meaning they legally have the rights to shop that project around, and then if they get the funding and the production team behind it, then it gets greenlit, and then we start flying. So that's where it's at right now. And this is a photo of me directing a comedy pilot years back. That was really fun. And I'm sharing this because it's nice to look at the like where I've come from, and on camera it's really cool and it's really fun, but I want to share with you guys here, and that's why we're here, my story of, what it actually felt like to be behind the scenes in this journey. And so when you are on camera a lot and you are put together in a way that is ready, camera ready, there's a lot that's happening underneath. And so for me, what I experienced a lot in the past 20 years is a lot of self-doubt, a lot of comparison, my body image issues, because I literally had people telling me I had to look a certain way. And the questions of, are they going to like me? Are they going to want me? And so I spent so many hours, countless hours, over analyzing in my head, ruminating all these things. Like, am I good enough? Did they like that take? Are they going to want me? To a point where I actually got a job and I had to, I guess it was this scene where I had to dance on a bar and allude to taking off my shirt. And when I read that in the script, I was thinking, all these mind, these doubts that were going on for me. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna fire me. They're gonna realize I can't do that and I don't look the part and I'm not skinny enough, or whatever the thoughts are that were placed on me. And literally these are the thoughts that went in my head, and I thought I was gonna lose my job. But it didn't happen. I did the job. So it was terrifying, right? Having these jobs, that was what was actually happening for me. But then what you see is like on camera, and it's like, oh, it's so cool. Like, have you guys ever felt that? Like, just really terrified, but it's not matching what is supposed to be happening on the outside. So I went through this for a very long time, like very, very long time. It was actually getting to be debilitating. And so the 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 word confident, right? Feeling confident. You should feel confident. These are just words. And I'm here to talk to you about the experience for me of how I actually really started to tap into what really started to feel like confidence, not what I was showing to be confident. So after 20 years of this, I also remember there was a time when I had to go speak on stage, and I just remember the sides of my mouth were quivering so hard. Have you ever felt that? your body just takes over. It's the nerves, and it was quivering like I felt like it was like this, but it wasn't. No one could notice, and I just didn't know how I was going to even speak. So that was my reality. And acting, when we talk about acting, it's not performing on a screen or stage. Like, yes, it's called a performance, but how we connect, right, to ourselves is how we connect to the character. And when we're doing that, we're not really in the mode of performing. We're in the mode of being. So how does this connect with you guys? Um, so when I'm in an audition room, there is an audience for me. It's not really the audience that's watching the show. First, there's the casting directors, the executives, the producers, the decision makers. I have to connect with them first. They are my audience. And if I can't connect with them, then they're not going to hire me, and then I won't be able to, connect with the audience. So it's really like, how do we make that connection? So for you guys in here, school owners, coaches, entrepreneurs, showing up online. Maybe again, what does it mean to show up on camera? Maybe it's a video meeting, or maybe it's social posts that you have an Instagram channel or YouTube, right? Whatever it is, first impressions matter. And so our job is to find that connection to that person that we're connecting with. And then from there, the conversation can deepen. So how I approach this work is we work with scripts, but we use scripts to help us in our environment to be our most authentic selves. And through that, we are finding our most powerful, authentic presence, so that when we do show up, when we're hitting record or unmuting ourselves, we are our most authentic self. So actors, great actors, they're not performing, they're embodying. So I'm going to say this word a lot. We're embodying our presence. And so I feel like the same applies to your personal brand. And so the real block that I've seen is never really about the skill or the knowledge, right? You can always learn these things. You can always learn the technical skills. There's tons of education out there. You can just look on YouTube and learn a billion different things. But what I've realized and learned is that it's really about the fear of truly being seen for who we really are. And who are we when we strip away these things, these layers of who we're supposed to be? We're supposed to be confident. We're supposed to have this certain energy when we show up and present this video. But what if that's not what we're feeling, right? So who are we then? And that's scary if we don't know, and then we have to be that person. Who is that? And so when we drop into that, it creates overthinking, hesitation, self-doubt, and the spiral of these thoughts, right, come up. And so going back to, the real confidence and tying it to authenticity, when we really know who we are without all these things, we can be okay in that. Then we have clarity, and then we speak with conviction. And from there, we build connection with our audience. And then when we connect, we create trust with our audience, right? And so every video, live meeting, we step on a stage. Confidence, it's not a performance. It's about owning our space, knowing where we're coming from, who we are. And then from there, we step into that space, and then we start to speak. So I have a few more photos for you guys. Let me just share my screen again. And okay, are you guys seeing it okay? Okay. So looking confident on camera and feeling confident are two very different things. This is a picture from a show I did called Lucifer. This is where I played a badass Asian triad. And this is one from a show called Hit the Road. That's George Costanza. Do you guys remember him from Seinfeld? He was so funny to work with. I had such a great time with him. But that was a really interesting experience on that set as well. And also with this guy, Ron Livingston, he was in Sex and the City. Do you guys remember Sex and the City? He was Berger, broke up on a Post-it note. He also did Office Space with Jennifer Aniston. I worked with him on a couple shows, and he's really humble. Him and Freddie Highmore are probably the two most humble actors that I've worked with, and I always remember them because they're just, it flows down from the top. And when you have a really humble and amazing number one in the cast, everyone else feels comfortable, they feel good, and the energy all around is really, 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 really positive. And I also did a show called iZombie. This one was quite popular, and this I was playing like this soldier. Like, I don't think we ate the brains, but I don't remember, it was a really long time ago. So all three shows, it's super fun, right? These pictures, it's so cool, it's so fun to be on these shows with these actors. But during iZombie, there was this one day that we were shooting, and this is when it hit me really hard. So we were shooting at a beach in Vancouver, and it was one of those days on sets where you're like, this is every actor's dream because you're on location. It's a beautiful day. You're getting paid to do what you love. Amazing, right? So our holding room, our green room, were these black tents that were created or posted along the beach. But at this time in my life, I was going through so much struggle that I was getting massive panic attacks. And so instead of enjoying this beautiful day, I actually would walk to the bench and sit down and just breathe and try not to be overwhelmed by the panic that was occurring. And but I had to be a pro, right? I had to show up, I had to deliver my lines, I had to show up on set. I was playing a soldier who's like strong, holding a gun. And so that was a real struggle for me inside because the internal was definitely not connected to the external of what I had to do. And so personally, I know what it's like to just have to push through, like push through, right? So even after decades, battling my self-doubt and the imposter syndrome, the imposter feelings, I really, really relate and understand that feeling of disconnect. The outside is like needing to be perfect or be presenting in a certain way versus the inside where I'm like literally struggling and trying to like catch my breath. And so, when we're in an environment like this, or even showing up on video, if we are disconnected from ourselves, we are creating a disconnect with the audience, and they may or may not feel it. And so I was terrified that my performance was going to be like so bad, right? But I don't worry about that. I just got to show up and I got to get the job done and keep going because I can't worry about that. And so looking versus feeling confident, very different. Can you guys relate to this at all? Like, the internal versus the external. So I spent so many years looking the part without really feeling the part. And so years of performing confidence, right? This is what the performing is, led to massive exhaustion. So I was invited to be a part of a wedding party in Mexico after I was finished filming this movie. And we were filming in this warehouse, and it was not really up to par. And I got really sick. And that's a whole other part of the story. But the hustle is real. You're just saying yes to things because the wedding party was a producer, and I thought, I should say yes, right? Because this is part of my job. I can't say no because what's that going to do for my career? But there was a moment when I was in the buffet, and I remember this feeling of this energy just of sitting down with my daughter and my husband and our friends, and the energy just like shot up through my body so fast that I had to stand up, and I looked at my hands and I was like, I'm not okay. I just literally felt, the only way I can explain it is that I felt my soul leaving my body. I just felt like nothing was right in that moment. It was all wrong. It was like a really huge out of body experience. And I was like, I'm not okay. So anyway, I got through the wedding, barely remember it. I was bedridden the whole time, except for the wedding. I came home and I continued to push through after this. I came back, I went to emergency. They said, you're okay, just stop the antibiotics. And so I came home, and despite the warning signs, like, have you guys ever felt something, but you're like, nope, I got stuff to do. I'm just going to keep going. You like ignore the warning signs from your body. So I did. I ignored it. I just kept pushing through. And so what I'm going to tell you right now is what I refer to as my wake up call, which is also like the dark night of the soul in this experience. Dark night of the soul is a reference to like when you're writing feature films, it's like the moment where everything is hitting the fan. I was driving my daughter home from school. She was about 7 or 8 or 9 at the time. We were literally 5 minutes from home, drive the street every day. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm not okay. I had to pull over like 5 minutes. We could walk there in like 6 minutes. I pulled over and I went into a restaurant with my daughter and I called my husband. I'm like, I'm not okay. You need to come get me. I can't drive Katana home. I don't know what's wrong with me. And so I sat across the table from her. And this is when, they're at an age where she's still not really sure what's going on. Yeah, I can still kind of like guide her into like, yeah, we're just stopping and taking a break. She's like, okay. But when I was sitting there across from her, the amount of guilt and shame that overcame me was that I wasn't okay to like take care of my daughter, just to drive her home safely. And in that moment of not like recognizing that I am incapable of driving my daughter home, something's happening. I cannot push through anymore. I need to pay attention, right? It's not okay that it's affecting the people I love. And so for the first time, instead of just pushing through, because that's what I did for so many years, and this was the shift for myself, the question I asked myself is what if I don't push through? What if I don't push through this time? Right? Okay, I'm going to go back to my slides here. And I just have 2 more pictures to show you how long I've been doing this. These are a couple of hosting pictures from, you can see by the quality. That was back when it was like the Betacam days. It was like even before it was like VCRs and cassettes. That's what this was recorded on. And somehow I got a copy of it digitally, and this is what it is. So I've been doing this a really long time. So live TV, film, commercial, hosting, and yeah, I learned to show up consistently with confidence, performed confidence mostly, right? But now we're working on showing up authentically. And you're going to hear me say this a lot, but the confidence part, it becomes an effortless byproduct of what we're actually focused on. Okay. So this is what I help my clients do today. And so you're already farther along than when I started. Because if I could go from that depth of self-doubt to like knowing this now, it would have probably made some of those experiences less tumultuous for sure. So who this is for, this workshop is for coaches, creators, entrepreneurs. If you're building your online presence, anyone who wants to feel confident hitting record, but you're also ready to like go beyond the surface level tips, because that's what we're doing. We're going beyond it, and to learn about what I've discovered over the past 20 years about really, really truthful, authentic confidence on camera. Okay, so you guys ready? Betacam, you remember that, Jen? Yeah. Just checking in on the chat. Okay, awesome. Okay, so if people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they will do business with you. Authenticity is everything. Authenticity is not just a buzzword. We're hearing it a lot more these days. That's what I'm noticing. I don't know if you guys are noticing it as well, but I am. I heard Hermosi mention it. A couple school game winners mentioned it. I was like, hey, and I was like, I still want to do a little edit of all the people saying authenticity, because I'm like, it's being said a lot, but it's your greatest asset. It's your superpower. And that's what we want to tap into. Why? Why do we want to tap into this? You guys know this already, because right now there is way too much AI. It's everywhere. If we use it, I mean, I use it as a tool, but a lot of people are creating content with it, and I'm not creating content, but we still have to inject our authentic voice in there, right? But in today's online world, it is like overflowing. And so how do we cut through? We need to find a way to cut through the noise, because we're just scrolling to the point where my husband's showing my daughter and I like videos, and he's like, oh my God, look at this. And my daughter and I are like, that's AI, Dad. And he's getting to know it a bit more, but there's the separation. Now we have to filter out, is this AI? That's the question, right? When we see something, it's really good. And then we're like, wait, is that real or is that AI? Do you guys find yourself saying that a lot when you're looking at content nowadays? Even if it's captivating, you're like, wait, is this real? Right? But and it's not stopping, right? It's continuing. So people are craving human connection more than ever, especially after COVID. It was a while ago, it's been years now, but even now, more with IRLs in school, people are needing that again. And we can do that, and we can still do it through camera. I mean, you look at film, right? It is a screen, but when you watch someone's performance or character and you're like, oh my God, I so resonate with them, and they pull you in and you're invested in that person, in that character, in their story, you're in. There is no fourth wall. And that's what we want to do when we're showing up too. And there is a way that we can do that. There is a way that you can do that. And I'm going to show you guys that, or tell you guys that, because this is what we're here to talk about. Okay. So why authentic presence matters now. Again, we are drowning in AI, and there's just so much more. And people coming online. I think Sam Oven said their next goal is bring a billion people, reaching a billion people with school. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And everyone's going to be doing that. And so there's a lot of competition, but what cuts through, right? The authenticity, the emotional resonance, right? Like when what I just said about the movie, if you might not remember what they say, and even in your own real life, you might not always remember what people say, but what you remember is how they made you feel. So the emotional resonance that we can create with our words, with our presence, with our message, that's how we're going to cut through. Okay? And so this is the journey of authenticity, your authenticity. So human connection cuts through the noise. So being, what does that mean? Being the fullest expression of yourself, the fullest version, the most authentic version of you, of your energy and your presence. And that's going to create trust with your audience. But you know what else? It makes it that much more enjoyable. The fear goes away. You're present in the present moment, and you actually love being on camera, love showing up, love sharing your message. Now we have a purpose, right? Okay, so we're moving from information to connection, because there is a lot of information out there. You can get anything you're looking for on YouTube. So what we're doing is uncovering the natural confidence, not tips or tricks or anything like that. Although I have some of those for you guys too, right? So the authentic element is what audiences are craving. They need this. It's not just that they want it. They need this. This is what we need as humans. We need connection. I'm just thinking about a baby when it's first born. It's like you've heard the story, right? The baby was not doing well. I'm just like remembering this right now, but I don't know the exact story, but there's many of them. And it was rested on its mother when it was born, and the doctors were amazed at how it just recovered. But it was like that connection of the mother's love. That's what feeds us. That it's when we're disconnected that we're not okay, and not disconnected by others, disconnected from ourselves, right? It's that connection to ourself then ultimately allows the audience to connect with you through your connection with yourself. Okay, does that make sense? So it's how our information is delivered. You can deliver information, but it's how you deliver it, how you share it through your embodiment of the information is going to change how someone receives the information you share with them versus them getting it from a textbook or from someone else. Okay, so it's what's going to separate you. So can you guys see how authenticity can really help you build these deeper connections with your audience? Just gonna have a sip of my tea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is the confidence myth and your path to authenticity, transforming the internal barriers, because I always separate it by the internal and then the external, okay? And then the external traps that might be holding you back. And then based on our conversations in the community, I added a little section of the inner confidence to your on-camera mastery. So first, we are going to talk about the confidence myth, your path to authenticity. Okay, so in my experience, in over 20 years of being in front of the camera, behind, and everywhere around the camera, there is something that I discovered. is one universal truth. And we have to address the deeper patterns, because even if we're recording or showing up repeatedly, like I did for 20 years, it doesn't eliminate the fear, right? I was still struggling with the same issues, but there's one universal truth. And is that the real transformation always begins from the inside. Always, 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 always from the inside. We can have all the tech, right? We can have all the nice lights and the nicest cameras and the perfect setup and lighting and wardrobe and makeup, all of that. But if the inside is disconnected from us, then none of that matters. Okay. So have you guys ever heard of fake it till you make it? I've been told that a lot in many different ways. Okay. So I found this picture and I just was like, this is amazing. Look at this little guy. Okay. He wants really badly to be a fierce lion, right? I don't know if it's working, but I can see he's trying. But the deeper truth for him is that there's probably feelings of fraud or imposter syndrome happening. Okay. So what's happening is when we're trying to wear it from the outside, is that the doubt inside, when we're trying to keep up, we're like, okay, everything's perfect. I got to bring myself to this thing. This happened to me the other day, actually, in an audition. It was a crazy characters for The Last of Us. It's a huge show that's filming here again for the third season. And anyway, it happened to me. It was just like this. I was trying to I had this identity or idea of this character. And then I was like outside, I was like playing this character and I was like, what's wrong? I'm not feeling it. Something's wrong. And then I just had to stop. I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, I'm doing this from the outside. I got to just go in and start from there. Right. Because I had worked up this character so much. Because inside it was not happening. I was like doubting. I was feeling like a bad actor, all these things still happening. Right. So this method falls apart. I have tried. Okay. So this is the confidence myth, the fake it till you make it. Why it doesn't work? Because it literally keeps you in your head, because you're like, if I just keep going, I will push through, I will do this, it'll get better, it'll get better, it'll get better. But it doesn't. And I've experienced it. So the true confidence comes from being in your body. And we have to remove these masks that we put on, and then we can tap into that. Because if we're wearing the mask, it's really hard to like connect to what's actually happening, right? Okay, so this little lion, I mean, cat, right? He's not as terrifying as he thinks. So confidence isn't something you do, it's something you unlock when you stop trying to perform and you start being present in the moment. Okay, so let me show you guys this. Check this out. Come on. Isn't he so cool? He's so cool. This guy's a Maine Coon, right? He looks so dope, so badass. He's like naturally confident, right? You would think he's like super authentic. He's pretty cool. But he's also kind of coming across as inapproachable, right? A bit intense, intimidating. Like I probably wouldn't want to pick him up and like kind of skirt around. So this is what confidence misunderstood looks like, right? This is what people overconfident, right? It's kind of like, it's confident, but it's like, it's not quite there. That's the other end of the confidence spectrum. Okay. So confidence, people struggling with imposter syndrome means they're giving up before even trying, right? And then the forced confidence is like faking it, overcompensating. Maybe this feels a bit intense or guarded. Have you guys ever been in a room with someone like that? It's like the confidence is a bit much, it's a bit disconnected. It's the ego, right? And so confidence isn't, yeah, Natalie, ego. So confidence isn't about acting or performing. So our goal is to be real in a way that creates the connection, right? Not so confident that we're like standoffish and not right. And we're like, what are they doing? What are they doing over there? Okay, so owning your presence, being present, that's what resonates with your audience. And that's my approach when I work with clients is we uncover, take off the mask. We don't layer on. There's a time and place to layer on the education and the tech stuff and all those things and the tips and the tricks. But first, if we're working on the real confidence and there's inklings of self-doubt, right? We want to remove those, the imposter syndrome and the hesitation. And then again, right, what I said, the natural confidence, the effortless confidence emerges when you're connected to your authentic presence, because confidence isn't even a word that exists. It doesn't need to, because that's not what we're focused on. Okay. So faking isn't the way. What is the way? So Nicole Kidman, you guys know Nicole Kidman. Susan Batson is her coach, and she has this book called Truth that I spent many years training with and studying with. And she says actors don't create great performances by faking it. Great actors understand persona, the need of the character, the flaws of the character, right? And this is what creates the difference between a stiff performance versus a compelling performance, right? We resonate when it's relatable, when we can relate to that person's pain, right? Not the polish. It's like, oh, that's nice to look at, but how deeply are we connected, right? So again, this is about presence, your presence, and not a performance. So what doesn't work? Faking it doesn't work. Techniques help in the right time, but they don't solve the root problem. But what does work is presence, not performance. So not performing, but feeling it, embodying it, right? And so this is what we do. Again, it's the byproduct. And this comes from the alignment of your voice with your body and with your purpose. So confidence is already inside you. It's in all of us. It's in you already, right? It's just covered. It's just covered by life's experiences, traumas, big or little. We all have them here or there. And we remove the blocks versus adding the techniques, again, the techniques at its own time, right? And so it's kind of like six-pack abs, right? The coveted six-pack abs, we all have them. They're there. The muscles are there. They're just under cells that have formed on your body, right? And they're just covered up, but they're there. And children, right? Children that were born free, naturally confident, right? Just fearless up to a certain age before the ego develops around 18 months. If you look at any little babies and toddlers, they're just going for it. They're just in their own world, right? And that's why it's so amazing to watch them, because you're just watching someone in the present moment. And same with animals, they're just in the present moment. And so the shift is we're accessing confidence from the inside out. Okay, so your path to effortless confidence is step one, we're going to identify the patterns. So everyone's journey is unique, everyone's process is unique. And the same questions for one person are going to lead to different answers with the next person, right? Because we all come from our own lived experiences. And so there's multiple layers of patterning that we can explore with this. Does that make sense? Does that make sense for you guys? Okay. So we want to unlock the emotional presence that's underneath all those layers. Okay. And we want to identify those blockages. And we want to, as counterintuitive as this sounds, we want to move towards the fear, not away from it. Okay. We're going to transform to an embodied confidence, and we're going to find your authentic voice. And again, the result is the effortless confidence, which I love. Okay. And so applying techniques, applying tools, yes, they're helpful. They're going to enhance, right? Not replace, they're going to enhance your authenticity. So having the right equipment and setup is helpful, because then you feel comfortable, you're happy in your setup, you feel good about it. Maybe it's a special item that you have and you're happy to have that. Like I have my musical instruments behind me. This is my like zone. I love it. I love that in a moment you guys can see like this is my vibe, this is what I love. And so that's helpful, but more importantly, we got to make sure we're connected from the inside. Okay, so tools are there to support, not create the presence. Okay, does that sound good to you guys? Awesome. Okay, so the universe cannot resist authenticity. When we show up fully ourselves with no masks or filters, we attract what's truly meant for us. Yet sometimes being ourselves often feels quite challenging to just be ourselves, right? And have you guys ever felt that before? It's like, just be yourself. You're like, okay, just be myself. But I've made this post recently. Being yourself, it's like you're so many selves, right? You're different yourself with your partner than you are with your children, than you are with your friends, than you are when you're showing up in a Zoom room in school. So being yourself can have different, we wear many different hats, right? So over time, we learn to hide parts of ourselves and we absorb beliefs about what's acceptable, right? How are we supposed to be a certain way in this environment? I did that for years. Being on set, it was like I had to be a pro. That was my identity. I'm a pro. I did everything to make sure I was a pro. That was it. Like, and I had to fit in a box and, you know, all these things. Of course, there is be respectful, be kind, and all those things, of course. But then beyond that, deeper than that, right? So these beliefs, right? These patterns, they shape how we start to show up. And then we begin to accept that as who we are, right? And we talked about this earlier. You know, have you ever been told to just push through, right? Just push through, just keep going, just don't be scared. Even when you're scared, it's like just do it. But even so, if you're pushing through, I think my martial arts teacher said that to me, just fake it till you make it. And I was like, okay. So the confidence doesn't magically click just because you push through. So there is a place and time for just push through. Like if you're going to go bungee jumping and you're all tied up and you're like ready to go, yes, you got to just go. Or you can back out if you want. But in that moment, it's like, yes, you might need that, like just push through and then you jump and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. By the way, I've never bungee jumped. I'm terrified. I don't think I'll ever do it, nor do I ever need to. Has anyone in here bungee jumped before? I'm curious to know. No, a lot of no. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, thank you. So, but when it comes to our authenticity and our internal landscape, it's a different approach, right? Like we pushing through fear without understanding the source, which I refer to as the snakehead, which I'm going to talk more about. Yeah. No, it's 100% no bungee jumping. We are all the same in this room. Okay. So understanding the source is we got a not yet. Catherine, you might be one who does it. You'll definitely have to let us know if you do. Okay. The snakehead is what I refer it to. And that's the source. That's the source of the fear. And I use this term with my daughter as well, finding the snakehead, what's underneath, right? And and so pushing through without understanding it doesn't work. So what fear does is we try push through fear, as I mentioned earlier, the self-doubt cycle. It just keeps going. It gets louder, the broken record, right? And then the response to that, for me, I don't know if you guys relate to this, is perfectionism. It's like, okay, I gotta just like, I'm just gonna like everything's gonna be perfect. And then perfectionism. You guys relate to perfectionism? Yeah. So fear, right? That's how it's connected. And then what happens is we just disconnect. We're just disconnected from ourselves because we're literally running from fear. And then the symptom is the perfectionism. And then we're disconnected. So we got to get under these layers. Okay, so even professionals, they struggle with this. I see them overcompensating all the time, right? Some really big famous people, they overcompensate. And it's fear. It's fear of not being liked, not being, approved, all this stuff, right? So fear isn't your enemy. Okay. Fear is your map. So 3 key ingredients that I've learned is, oops, let me go back one sec. Okay. I'm back here. Sorry, I just clicked. Um, there's 3 things that I've noticed and I mentioned that in Freddie and Ron Livingston, that I've noticed with people that make a big difference. And they're confident too, but it's humility, it's also vulnerability, and then that leads to authenticity. Okay, so those are the 3: humility, vulnerability, and authenticity. Okay, so what do we got to do? We got to identify the recurring patterns, right, that happen for us. So a question you could ask yourself is, what do I tell myself in moments of hesitation? Like what's the automatic thought that plays on repeat when I feel self-doubt? And again, everyone's answer is going to be different, but this is a good starting point because you can always ask questions that go deeper and deeper and deeper. Finding the snakehead, right? So noticing, then we start to notice the self-sabotaging habits, right? Do I procrastinate? Do I overthink or do I avoid? These are what I call the symptoms. They're the symptoms. They're the byproduct, right, of the fear. And so when I feel resistant, resistance. That's something we worked a lot on in acting, like uncovering the resistance and letting it go, because we actually resist a lot because of fear. What do I do or don't do? And then we dig deep, right? The truth is endless. You can ask as many questions as you are willing to go to dig. So, what past experience might have created this belief? So, the deeper reflection you go, the more you uncover the different levels of the origins. It is endless. It is endless. It is endless. It is endless. So, a question you could ask is like, when do I first remember feeling this way? And the first might be here in your life. And then once you've uncovered that, you might ask the same question and notice the same pattern. You're like, when was the first time? And you go back to an earlier part in your life. And then you go, so we have to go back to all these steps that connected that pattern. It's not just once, right? We connect the dots and then we release the dots. So the more honest you are, the faster you will go in the discovery process. So we identify, then we notice, and then we dig deep and we keep digging. And why does this matter? Why is this important? Why is this important? Because this is why we stay stuck, right? We have to question everything. We have to question everything, because if we don't question it, we don't actually go looking. And you can't change what you can't see, right? We can't change it from the outside. Yes, we can add things, but then that's more layers, more layers, more layers. We need to uncover, remove the layers. And we are all susceptible to blind spots. You guys know what a blind spot is, right? So this is going to take us to the breaking through your internal barriers, the blind spots, right? The blind spots that it gets created in our lived experiences, right? Because what if you can't see the pattern? And sometimes you can't, but sometimes you can't see it because it's too close. Like you're in the weeds. I think that's a saying, right? So here's a little picture, or part of a picture. Can you guys guess what this is? Let me know. Throw it in the chat if you guys can guess what that is. I'm always curious to see. What do you guys think? Could be anything. A deer. Oh, interesting. Like the antler. Apple stem. What else we got? A deer. I've never got this. Plant before blooming. Sage. Nice. Okay. So a hoof. It's definitely from nature. Okay. Melissa, you got it. It's an apple stem. Okay. But still, even though you knew it was an apple stem, did you know if it was red or green? Right? Still don't know, because we don't see the bigger picture. We see a little piece and we might kind of know what it is, but we still don't know the bigger picture. And so that's our job, is to we got to zoom out when we're in it, we're in our life experiences, we're in it. It's really hard to see. Those are called our blind spots, because it's not even in our awareness. So how can you see it? And so they're called blind spots for a reason, right? It's your perspective. Where are you seeing it from? So the thing that's keeping you stuck could be something that you can't even see, that you're not even aware of, right? So if you don't even know it's there, how can you even resolve it, right? So it's also your hidden roadblock. It's the thing that your subconscious is avoiding, right? Like, have you ever had that moment where someone said something and you're like, oh, like totally didn't see that before, and it was like right there? You've had that moment, right? And it could be superficial, but I'm talking now, this also happens on the deeper level. And so it's the limiting belief that's holding you back. So your blind spot, right? Sometimes not seeing this thing could be detrimental to your journey, because you're not even aware of it. So if you're not aware, how do you know? So I just recently had a healing session and then recorded a podcast episode where I was talking about this exact thing. And for me, it was like wearing this identity that was placed on me by someone else's needs. And it literally was driven by fear for me. And how could I have seen that? I had no idea. It's probably 40 years old, and I didn't see it. And so it came up because I was working with someone who was able to help me connect the dots and ask those questions, because I didn't even know that it was there. But I did connect the dots, and that's helpful. So, because the patterns that are the hardest to break are the ones that we don't even see, right? So this is where most people get stuck, because there's no reflection. There's no one to hold up the mirror to show them like what they're not seeing, what they're missing. And so trying to do this stuff all alone is a bit trickier because we can repeat the same cycles over and over and patterns die hard. I know that for myself. And so the most successful people, whether in business, leadership, public speaking, they do not do it alone. Even Nicole Kidman had a coach forever, right? We studied off her book. Successful people have mentors, coaches, trusted guides, and these guides help them see what they can't see for themselves because they're in it. They're in it too close and they can't see. And so Oprah, you guys know Oprah, she had a coach as well, Martha Beck, for 25 years. And so Oprah says, I had no idea that being your authentic self, there's the word again, could make me as rich as I've become. If I had, I'd have done it a lot earlier. And she says, coaching helps you stop the crazy mind chatter in your head. And so combined with authenticity and with guidance, she became super successful. Tim Ferriss, the guy who wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, he actually studied high performers for patterns, for successful patterns. And so he said, the best results I've had in my life, whether it's business or personal, have come from taking calculated risks and seeking out mentors and coaches who can help me improve. And so his key lesson is successful people don't go it alone because we can't see what is holding us back. And so I was in a one-on-one this week with a member and he referenced this when we were talking. He's like, Tiger Woods is a pro, but he has a coach. And he mentioned that twice. I was like, yeah, that's a good point because we all need a different perspective, right? So can you guys think of a time when someone else pointed out something for you that you didn't realize? So imagine that perspective for your confidence, right? So the keys to transformation, I'm just reading the chat. Coaches often need coaching. Yes, it's so true. It's so true. Keys to transformation are the consistency, right? The neural pathways, right? That have been created because of this patterning. There's a resilience to it. And so we want to transform that. And so accountability is another thing. And we're talking about coaches. So I'm thinking about fitness coaches. There are a lot of fitness coaches, but people know what we need to do, right? To get fit, you exercise, you eat well. That's pretty much it, right? But it's like one of the biggest industries online. And so it's accountability. I think Hormozy said this. He's like, because that's where he started, right? Is people need accountability. We know what we need to do, but we need accountability. So having an accountability partner is awesome. I'm actually working out now with my 13-year-old daughter. We're in week 5 and we're doing workouts 3 times a week. And it's so fun because, some days I'm just like, I don't want to do it. And some days she's not, but we're keeping each other going. And it's really, really awesome. And so it's all about accountability. I myself have my own coaches, acting, singing, not right now, but I have had, and some still do, fitness coaches, healing, because they can see things that we can't when we're too close. It's just a perspective, and it's got to be someone you trust. It's got to be someone that you jive with, that you vibe with, and that everything's aligned on all the levels so that you can really just be your true self. So I have this one story about a client named Claudia, and she came to me with some acting stuff. And so I noticed we were working on her camera technique, and I noticed her eyes were kind of flickering, right? Like you really only have 3 eye lines, and they're very specific. The more specific you are, the more clear it is to tell the story on camera. And so her eyes were kind of flickering, and I didn't know, it wasn't specific. So I brought it up and I just said, I just noticed this eye thing. Are you aware of that? And she said, this is how I am in real life. Actually, it's something that I know. I was like, okay, so it's familiar, right? It's familiar, aware. And how it comes across though, is it's ungrounded, unsure. It's definitely not confident, right? Because it's kind of like, where are you? It's ungrounded. And so I gave her an invitation. I said, I can give you things to work on in the technical aspect of eye lines. We can work on that. But because this is something that's in your world that you're aware of and it's familiar, we can actually dig deeper if you're open to that. And so we did do the work. And when we address the root causes, right? When we actually dig deep into the thing, the origin, the snakehead, right? So for Claudia, she experienced unexpected, meaningful progress. We discovered some of the barriers in her life that have really held her back. We dove way back because we uncovered the root causes, right? And this is what we're talking about. So it's no longer performing the confidence, right? Even with the eyes flickering, it's actually feeling it from the inside out. And so this transformation goes beyond camera to life. And this is what I love about this work. This is why I'm doing this. This is the magic of it. This is two birds with one stone, right? We're transforming business if that's why you're showing up online, but also in life, all your connections, every relationship. This touches everything. The root, the core, the origin, it's you, right? And that is where it touches everything in your life. Every single relationship, no matter how big or small, that's where it comes from. That's the origin. Okay, so creating confidence for every situation, not just camera. Okay, so does this sound like a good use of your time to like really tap into the authenticity? Yes, Melissa, this is exactly what coaching is helpful for, uncovering the root cause and helping with accountability. Yes, awesome. So the other part of me, the entrepreneur brain, is like, this is efficient, two birds with one stone. Awesome, right? Okay, so now here lies another challenge. We talked about the internal. So there are external traps that can hold you back. What are these things? These are other people's expectations. These are judgments coming from other people. These shape us. These shape our confidence, right? The fear of judgment. Do you guys feel that? The fear of judgment. This is a big one. Let me know if you guys relate to that one. The fear of being judged. I remember when I first started acting, I had dreadlocks and I went to see one of my agents and she looked at me and she was like, yeah, what they're looking for right now in the industry is like Lucy Liu's. And I was like, oh, okay. Lucy Liu, Lucy Liu. Okay, I'm not Lucy Liu, but she's skinny, black hair, pale skin. And she's like five something. I'm five. She's like 5'1". She came into a dog bakery that I used to work at when I was younger. It was one of my many jobs. And she's quite short. And so I was like, I am not her. And I have big shoulders and I can never be Lucy Liu. And I have dreadlocks. I don't have black hair. They're blonde dreadlocks. And so that's what I was coming into at that time in the industry. And so other people's expectations, other people's judgments, right? What does that do to someone's psyche when they're like, this is how it is? And so the fear of being seen as me if I'm not Lucy Liu. So how do I make myself to be seen or perceived as her? All these external things, right? What does that even mean? So have you guys ever, like, can you guys relate to other people's opinions holding you back because of someone else's expectations? Yeah, so much, right? So the fear, it is the fear. It's a fear. It's a fear of being judged, being seen, being whatever, not approved, not liked, right? Not getting the job. But fear, right, is not the enemy. Fear is not the enemy, even though it's super counterproductive because, or counterintuitive, right? Because when we're scared, we usually go like, oh, I don't want to. And it's a survival thing when, our bodies, it's like, well, that's more pain. You move towards pain, you're kind of moving away from pain. Although when we get into the deeper work, we do move towards the pain as well in a safe way, right? That's not to say like put your hand on a hot pan. Although I guess Tony Robbins gets people to walk over hot coals. So what's that, right? Okay, so fear is not the enemy, it's the map. And so most think that confidence is eliminating the fear, like getting rid of fear. I'm fearless. I'm good. I'm not scared. I'm not scared, right? But what if fear is actually the tool? It's actually a helpful tool for you. So I used to think that if I just got better at performing, right? If I just got better at acting, better at my self tapes, better at auditioning, showing up in the room as confident when I walk into the casting room and everyone's looking at me, that I would just get better and more confident, right? The fear is going to go away. I got this. I've been doing this a long time. I kept telling myself, I'm a pro. I've got this, right? But the harder I fought that feeling, the stronger it got. And so fear felt like a wall, to me, but it's not, right? It's a compass going towards that. It points us to where the growth is going to happen. We have to walk towards it. So what if fear isn't something to fix, but it's something we listen to, right? Every time the fear pops up, we're like, "Oh, what's this? Okay, let's give it some attention. What can I learn from this?" Right? If we do that every time fear comes up or a negative thought comes up, how would that change things for you? Right? So the voice inside your head, that voice that says all those things, right? Who's talking? Whose voice is that? Because it's not you. It's not you. The voices in your head are from conditioning, right? The negative voices I'm talking about. Listening to outdated voices from the past, like that agent, right? Telling me I need to be Lucy Liu. Parents, teachers, past experiences, right? And so when we don't question these voices, if we just listen to them and we believe them at face value, they become beliefs. They become a part of our belief system. We absorb it and it becomes familiar, right? Like Claudia, it was familiar to her. She's like, I know this. This is normal for me now, right? And we absorb it into our identity. So we believe this is who I am, but it's not, because it was placed on you by someone else, right? And so when we recognize this, you can take back control of your confidence, your true, 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 authentic confidence of who you are. And so the deeper question is, if fear isn't your voice, what beliefs has it actually fed you? What stories did it create for you that you believe to be true? These stories hold you back from your full authentic self and expression, right? Because these are part of the mask that was placed on you, waiting to be uncovered. Could you imagine that little cat wasn't the one that placed the mane on himself and someone else did? Here, you're a lion. And he's just like, I'm so confused. I don't know what I am. I don't know what I am, right? And that happens to us. It happens. And so, okay, so the unquestioned beliefs shape how you show up. Okay, so confidence is, we're dissolving. I like the word dissolving, right? Releasing, letting go, dissolving the you can't thoughts, right? And then we have to ask ourselves, is this true? Is this actually true? Or is this just familiar? And it takes time to kind of like, really get in there, because sometimes the familiarity feels like it's true. And that's why we have to keep digging. And so we approach it with curiosity, definitely not judgment, right? There's no wrong here. This is your journey. This is your exploration. This is your discovery to yourself, right? But we do have to ask, we do have to challenge the old narratives, because awareness alone isn't enough. It's not enough. Awareness is the first step, but it's not enough. And then from there, we can transform the fear into, once we discover where it comes from, it's really empowering, because the truth is actually empowering. But we have to get through the shit before we can get to that. So we just challenge ourselves, we ask the questions, we dig deep. And when we meet it with compassion, right? Because this is you that you're meeting with compassion without skipping the previous steps, that is when we can dissolve that limiting belief. And that is how we get to the true, authentic confidence that's already inside you. Okay. So I have a quick little exercise. If you guys are game, it's called Name the Fear. And all you have to do is close your eyes and tune in. You're welcome to stay on camera or turn it off. But I would love to invite you guys to close your eyes and just listen to my voice. So you're going to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And we're just settling into your internal landscape. And you're going to think of a specific time when self-doubt crept in. It could be the first thing that pops in your head. There's no right or wrong. It's a voice that's saying something to you. And we're just going to identify the voice. We're just going to notice the voice in your head. What is it saying? Just the first loudest thought. Whose voice is it that you hear? Is it yours or is it someone else's? And what if I told you that voice is not you? And it's actually a script from someone else. And even if we may not know whose voice that is, that's okay. But we're going to name it as an old script. It's someone else's story. We're going to rewrite the narrative. So, for example, for me, it's like, I'm not good enough, right? I had that thought run through my head a lot. But instead, in this space, in my internal landscape, I'm going to instead tell myself, actually, I'm learning and I'm growing. Because fear loses its power when it's named. And we can shift from being blocked to connecting to our internal wisdom. And so we can create an anchor for ourselves if this thought comes up often. We develop a personal affirmation. So, for example, my voice matters because it's mine. I don't have to be perfect to be powerful. And I'm no longer carrying stories that don't belong to me. So taking a deep breath. And slowly open your eyes. And if you feel called to share in the chat, I would love to hear what happened for you. And not just for me, but there's power in being witnessed on our journey, in our vulnerability, because we are not alone in our experiences. It's like the things that we feel isolate us the most, that alienate us, are actually the things that connect us to humanity the most. And so there is power in being witnessed when we call it out, when we are bring things to transparency. We take away its power. The ego, when we call it out. I love the idea I don't have to be perfect to be powerful. It felt like a safe container to explore what I push away and try to hide. So a lot happens in our internal landscape. I didn't realize it was someone else's voice. Then I imagined I put it in a box and closed it away. Beautiful. So that is the space where we can uncover things that we might not be able to uncover when we are distracted or tuned into the external world. Okay. So this can create a deeper shift. It loosens the grip of fear when we share it and say it out loud, because we're not hiding it anymore, right? We're exposing it, and exposing it in a good way, releasing it. And it also creates a collective understanding. And when one person names their fear, others recognize their own. So when I did the story, when I was my character in The Good Doctor, there was a very, very specific story my character went through in season 5. And I won't tell you guys in case you haven't watched it and you do want to watch it, but it was a very serious story that the character went through that is life-changing, and it's very real. They focus on really serious topics. And when I told that story, I knew that I was given a job to tell this person's story, because this is not my story. This is not her story. This is many, many women's stories. And when I did that, I had to honor it fully, to give the respect of this experience, this named experience. And I got a lot of messages from fans just really honoring that story and thanking me for telling it. It helped them and da 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 da. And that's the goal. For me, it was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I got an opportunity to tell that kind of story, to help someone. And so it's the same thing when we expose the story, when we say it out loud. You might not be who knows who you're touching, who knows who it's helping. even if it's one person, right, that can relate to that and it's helped them through a moment, that's enough. And that is powerful. That is powerful. So that's just about, really speaking it out loud and sharing it, and to not be afraid of our we feel most ashamed of the thing, right? And as soon as we share the thing, people resonate. It's almost more rare that people will shame you farther for something you feel ashamed of. In that case, that's the really unsafe person to be around. That's not who you want to be with anyway. So who we surround ourselves with is very, very important. Okay, so the transformation here is this exercise just reveals the powerful shift that can happen, right? When we're when we're naming the fear, we're reclaiming our authentic voice. And it's the internal shift that others can feel. That is what creates the connection, right, to your audience. So we're letting go of limiting beliefs and stories, the ego that hangs on to them, and we become present. And there's that word again. And the presence, your presence, that's magnetic. That's the thing that captivates, right, when it's fully embodied. Just a quick question. Do you guys feel different now after the exercise than you did before? I'm curious. Just a little bit more present, maybe? My fear is being good enough to help others. Yes, calmer too. Calmer, just dropping in. I call it dropping into the internal landscape, connecting with our emotional body. As an actor, if I'm disconnected from my emotional body, it's like a painter losing their brush. Like, where's my brush? If I'm disconnected to my emotional body, it's really hard for me to tell the story. Yes, there are more superficial stories that I could tell, but like the deeper characters, the more complex characters, if I'm not connected, I don't have that paintbrush that I can brush with, right? Okay. Yes, daily practice. Absolutely. Okay, so why does this matter? Confidence is not just how you feel, right? It's not just about you, it is also how others experience you, right? We affect others, we affect people, we're all connected, right? And so your authentic confidence builds trust, and the trust is the foundation of all connection. When people trust you, they will listen more deeply, they will feel naturally drawn to you, and they will want to work with you. And so the power of presence. Vulnerability is the essence of connection, and connection is the essence of existence. Where would we all be if we weren't here together? I have a quick little story of fear and love. You might have heard this before. One day, fear knocked on the door. Love answered. When love opened the door, fear was no longer there, because fear cannot exist in the presence of love. By Rumi. I didn't know that before this, but it was by a poet. And so presence is where confidence exists. When we're fully here in our body, in a moment, confidence isn't forced. It just happens. When we're fully present, we stop overthinking, we're not hesitating, time slows down. You guys heard of flow state before? Flow state's like when time slows down, time disappears, there's no overthinking. Think of times you lost track of time, maybe when you're writing or speaking or playing music or in a deep conversation. That's flow, that's presence. That's when you're tapped in, right? Like really in it, not thinking about something else, right? And then confidence is effortless. You're not thinking about being confident, you're just there. There's no thinking about confidence. So, how do we create more flow? Remember, presence isn't forced, it's allowed. So, the most logical question is, are you present? But I find the more important question is how do you know when you're not present? And so there is a way to do a self-check, a scan, right? If you're present. So if you're thinking about the past or the future, guess where you're not? Like when you're thinking about the shopping list, when you're thinking about your to-do list, whatever the long list of to-dos that we all have, right? Where are we not? We are in our to-do list. We are not in the present, right? When we're replaying past events or conversations, when we're talking to people and this is happening, we're not in the present moment. When we're worrying about future scenarios, worrying. I was a big worrier. I was a huge worrier. I spent too much time worrying and multitasking instead of fully engaging, physically here but mentally elsewhere, right? Judging the current moment instead of experiencing it. So the head thoughts, right, in our mind versus grounded in our body. We need to drop into our body. That's the source of energy. So you guys been to a concert? I was actually just trying to get concert tickets right before we jumped on, and I was on with Karen, and she's like, "You look really stressed out." I'm like, "I was just in 5,000th in line to try and get concert tickets." Anyway, we didn't get them. But that's not the point. The point is when you're at a concert, sometimes there's fast songs and then they start to transition and they're talking and then they might pull out a chair and then there's like an instrumentalist that sits on the chair and then the singer sits down and then they start singing and it's a slow song, right? They shifted the vibe of the room. So like where you put your body and how you are moving your body creates a vibe. And so sometimes when we're sitting, and I'll tell you guys a little thing that I tried with one workshop is like how to get in your body. You can get in your body. I actually tried to do a workshop standing up because I was like, I'm going to test it out. And it was actually really hard for me because it was like standing for an hour and a half. Like I'm just back and forth and I have a little pad too. I was like, okay, I realized like it's really great for energy, but I feel way more comfortable in a chair. I think I'm going to just stick to sitting in a chair, but some people love it. So, how to get into your body in 10 seconds? Sometimes you need to raise the vibration, right? Because you're feeling a bit stagnant, or you do have to bring up the energy in a room because, there's like 40 people. And if your energy is a little bit more low, maybe you'll get there. But, when you're first getting things going, or maybe it's a part of the presentation that you want to get people pumped up.
You're muted. You touched your microphone
I
and then you
did.
muted.
Yes.
There it goes.
Thank you. Where was I? Okay. I don't think I was probably just reading that out. Um, so your voice plus your body is your instrument for your message. So I think I was talking about the vocal guttural warm-ups. Try saying that really fast. I couldn't. I had to slow down. So your voice and your body is your instrument. So warming that up will help you get grounded. And the most important one for connecting to your body is your breath, right? Just lots of breath techniques out there. You can look anything up. And it's so important to ground your body and align your energy. And so, yeah, earlier when I was jumping into this, coming out of trying to get those tickets, I told Karen and Natalie, I was like, this isn't how I usually like to show up at a workshop. I like to have my moment before, but that was very stressful. And so I want to give you guys something before you film. This is for 60-second pre-filming confidence. Take a little QR, it's a scan it with your phone, but I'll make sure you guys have it later um, when we post it with the replay. And it's something I created to just help you ground and connect before you hit record. Just a moment before, because we can get really caught up in, okay, is everything ready? Okay, gotta go, right? That's what happened to me. But just take a moment and then just ground before you hit record and see if you notice a difference. Okay. And so, what remains for us when the fear dissolves, right? We're discovering the fears, we're releasing the fears. What remains? Your natural presence, right? You're just present. And that's the path for your authentic confidence. The state of presence is the only state in which creative energy is available to you. Eckhart Tolle. I'm going to read this one again because I love this one. The state of presence is the only state in which creative energy is available to you. Think about that. So, the impact you create when fully present, people will feel, they'll trust, and they'll connect and listen differently. Your presence is the most precious gift you can give to another human being. When you master your presence, you will be confident. There's no trying to be, you just are, right? It's not a performance. You don't turn on for camera or stage. Yes, there's hitting the lights and hitting record and and action, right? But there's no turning on. You're just on. You're just there. You're just there. It's seamless. Okay. It's the foundation of everything, how you show up, how you connect, and how you lead. Okay. So now we are here, and this is just bridging the inner work to the external that I mentioned earlier. Some of the challenges that came up in our conversations in the community about showing up on camera were three things that really stood out to me. And I think that um, this is not just isolated to a few people. I hear this actually a lot. So the first thing is the stage versus camera. There, I think someone was sharing that they can sing, to a room full of thousands and thousands of people, but then you hit the record button, you're showing up on camera, and it's like, I don't know what to do. And that's so real. It is so real because on stage, it's same with actors who are stage performers versus film actors, right? Because when you're on stage, you're live, you're reacting, and when you're on camera, you're literally in a room by yourself. That's quiet and no one's bothering you, right? If you're recording on your own. And on set, you have 100 eyes on you, but no one's talking because you're the only one talking. And there's 100 eyes on you on a little monitor watching you. And you're aware of those little eyes that are watching you, even though you can't see them. Right. And so this is so real and it's a different medium. So I always talk about this. A live stream is different than showing up in a Zoom room, than is showing up in a one-on-one, than it is to record a course video versus recording a podcast. Your audience is different. Who you're talking to is different, right? And so the camera, it can trigger the self-judgment, right? The inner critic, the perfectionism, because there's no exchange. You're not able to read the energy off someone. You can't tell if they're there paying attention. Is it landing? Are they out to lunch? Like, what's happening? We don't know. So our minds start to create all the possibilities. And when the mind is going, where are we not? We're no longer in the present moment, right? And so we become hyper aware. And so different mediums, different techniques, because it's a different skill set that we have to tap into. And so, but I believe that you can bring your expertise to either with the right guidance. You learn the medium, and then you learn it's the same thing of, your present self, but then though there are those technical aspects that will then help. That's when the tools really, really help. And cadence is a thing that speech pacing, right? So one of the questions that came up was, feeling like I talk at the same pace all the time, and that it should be, I don't remember what it was, but this comes up. It's like, how's my pacing? How's my pacing? Now, I just want to take a moment and talk about cadence, because cadence is something that actually is real I've had a casting note that said, watch your cadence. Now, for example, comedy has different timing, drama has a different timing. And sometimes they say, watch your cadence, because you fall into a cadence trap where we're supposed to speak a certain way because that's the sing-songy vibe that everyone's used to hearing. You ever hear broadcasters? They have that tone that you expect, and you know what to expect. And so, but when we're talking about authenticity and we're talking about showing up, the interesting thing and how it relates to acting is like the interesting character choices is when the cadence changes from what is expected. And so when we're being our most authentic self and you're naturally speaking, right? You naturally speed up when you're excited and you get a little bit louder because the energy is a bit heightened. And then when we slow down or we're talking about something that's a bit more private or more intimate, we slow down, we get a little bit quieter, and sometimes we drop into our more lower register and we're more serious, right? Because we need to get this information across. And so cadence is actually, a beautiful thing that when we tap into it, again, it's not something we have to think about because we're just tapped into the emotional experience. And when we're telling the story, and this is how storytelling works, when we're coming from our own experience, I have to be going through the journey myself in order for you to believe me to come on the journey with me. I can't try and sell you a journey. I have to believe that I am on this journey. And that's how acting works, right? I have to believe that I'm the character. I'm her. I have to tell her story. And just like this workshop, I could not sit here for 90 minutes talking about something I didn't fully believe in, because that would be very hard for me to drum up that emotion to create it. But this is so personal to me, and this is something I believe in so much that I just have to connect to it and be present with it. And then I'm here because it's something I believe in. So when you're telling your story, when you are sharing your information, going back to the why, right, is so important, because from there, you're just telling, you're just speaking from experience, and you're not worried about the pacing or how you have to deliver it or how polished it needs to be. You're just speaking the truth. Okay. So that's what I reference as like polished versus authentic, right? The emotional register is where authenticity comes from. I just did this recent test with AI voice. AI created a video, and then I wanted to do a voiceover. So I did my voice and an AI voice of me, like a cloned AI voice of me. And I compared the two, and I let our community members see if they could tell the difference. And I just, I couldn't share that. Like, I wouldn't want to post that. Not that I couldn't tell, because right away I could hear where it was just random in fluctuations, and I was like, it's not landing the way that this part of the story I would say it this way, right? And so this is just an example of like AI versus human. It's like, even though AI can mimic human speech, it's not hitting the emotional register of the words. It's just choosing random spots for intonation. Okay. And that was interesting experience or experiment. And so, and then this last one that came up was the challenge that I see a lot is the overwhelm of one area affecting another area, with editing being the biggest one. I don't know if that's if for you guys, let me know if it is, because um editing can be very overwhelming, and I have experienced it in my life, which, and I've edited hundreds and hundreds of hours of content and footage. This is why I created a workflow, and so that you can easily learn, because I believe if you have the right process and workflow, that it should all flow nicely and you don't have to have it complicated. So I do believe that. But what I have discovered is that, and this is what I actually created in my flagship program, and I'll explain a little bit about it so you understand what I'm talking about, is the 5-step system. So in this program, what I did is I broke down this entire workflow into 5 steps. So the first step is brainstorm it, then it's script it, then you film it, then you edit it, then you post it. Sure, great. The steps are not a secret, right? The steps, you guys know all this. That's what you have to do. But the secret for me that I realized is how they connect to each other. And I found myself saying this as I was teaching it, is that when you are overwhelmed in one area, like editing, you will naturally not want to film. And then if you know that, then you're kind of like, the thoughts, then you're like, oh, I got to script it, but then I have to film and then edit. Oh, I'm just not going to. And then you don't start. You know how it trickles back? But it also goes the other way around. So when we are not like, maybe we're a really great editor and we're like, I hate filming, just give me the footage and then I can edit, right? But we want to do all the steps because, we can. And I believe you can, simply. So a really good example of this is on The Good Doctor. There was a female director named Rebecca Mullen. She was one of the best directors on the show. And the reason being is she was a post-production producer on the show for years. And that's one of the things I loved about the show, is they always brought in people from the team, from the family, to direct. And when she came to direct, she knew exactly what she needed because she was in the post-production for so long. So when you see a show, there's a style that it's edited, right? There's a template, right? It's not like random. They create the template, and that's what they use every episode. And they kind of go off here and there. The directors have a little bit of creativity with the actors, but usually there's, post-production producer, they know how the show, it's a brand, kind of like your videos or your content, right? It's a brand. There's a workflow, there's a template that you can create and you just drop it in. That's what I teach in this program. So anyway, when she came to direct, she knew exactly what she needed because she spent so many years in the edit suite that we got through our days so fast, and it was amazing. So But it can also work on the other side of things for scripting. This is on the other side. I want to tell this funny story. So I worked with a female director, Karen Lamb, on multiple projects, and she is also a writer and filmmaker. And so we were doing these different projects, and we always found ourselves filming really late at night in really bad locations, like outside. It was that warehouse I told you about. And so we were on set once, and she's like, I have to stop doing this. I was like, what? She's like, I have to stop writing myself to film in these places, because she kept writing. And in the writing process, she was just like free flowing. And then she'd be filming. She's like, how did we get here? Why are we here? It's like, oh, I did this to us. So wait, I didn't hit that again. So it's really funny. So if you know one, and sometimes we like write scripts based on what we know. Like we have a budget, we have one building, everything we write has to fit in this building. Maybe we can have one on location set, right? And so they are all connected. And so if you learn the way to, so what I teach in this program is like when you film this specific way, then your editing is easy, because how I teach you to do it, you just drop it in and then boom, 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 right? I'm not going to get into that obviously, but so it's the same thing. And when you know how you're going to edit now, you know your flow, then you know when you're filming, you're like, oh, right. Okay, I'm going to do this here because that's going to help me in edit. You see what I mean? So it's all connected. So I believe you guys can totally do it. You can learn it, because I hear that a lot with editing. And I just want to be able to share how simple it can be, which is why I did the recent editing, the AI editing, as a little behind the scenes video. And so this program teaches how they are working in relationship to one another. So once you make the connection, your workflow will do exactly that. It'll just flow right into the next thing. Okay. Okay. So your authentic confidence starts now. You guys have everything you need. You can stand out authentically. You can transform your fear into magnetic presence, and you can connect with your ideal audience, and you can build lasting trust through your genuine expression. Okay. And I truly feel that we've only just scratched the surface of this in today, because we're just at an hour and 18. And there is a quick, or not quick, we have time for Q&A, and I'm open today. But there's just one more quick little story I want to tell you guys about how I got here. Is that okay? I'm just going to take a couple minutes to tell you guys. Okay. So it's a 12-week transformation experience. And I'm going to tell a personal story here, but before we switch gears, no matter where you guys go from here, whatever you guys decide to do with your authentic journey, right? Just remembering how long it takes for something to shift. Okay. And so the magic number for me is the 12 weeks. And this is life changing. And not just from learning, right? You're making the commitment to yourself for the transformation. And this 12 weeks is not just random. This is the sweet spot. This is lasting change. This is backed by science. Okay? I feel like I lived it. So what happened is 2 years ago, I moved to the island, and I was feeling really good, and I decided to take horseback lessons with my daughter. And I think it was the second lesson. Within a minute of getting on the horse, she got spooked, and we turned right, and she threw me off. And I was in the air, and I screamed so loud. But I wasn't screaming in the air. That was when time slowed down. I landed on my back, and it was terrifying. I screamed so loud. My daughter was the only one who saw it happen, and she was across the pen. Is that what you call it? I'm not a rider, so I don't know everything, because I was just learning. And she had to stay with her horse because we were scared I was going to get trampled. But anyway, I broke my back, and I was in trauma for 3 days, and um, and I think I was in a back brace for 3 months. And I did go back to the show. I did go back to the show on Good Doctor, and this was another wake up call for me. And in that moment, for me, everything changed, right? Like I went from never having a broken bone to literally, that was a CT scan. It was so clear. Do you see it right there? Did I circle it? Yeah, I did circle it. It's right there. It's fractured. So they kept me in the trauma unit for 3 days because they had to make sure it didn't explode over to the spinal cord and then I'd be paralyzed. It was terrifying. They actually stood me up. The paramedics stood me up, and they left me in the hospital in the waiting room in a chair for 6 hours. And I could have done more damage than it would have been. So it was actually a very terrifying and traumatic experience. And so it was 12 weeks that I was in this hard brace. And so you guys remember when I said old patterns die hard? So I was supposed to go back to work that Friday or Thursday, but I think it was on a Monday or Sunday that I broke my back. And the ER doctor actually wrote me uh go back to work note before we got the CT scan. Anyway, after that I couldn't go. But the good doctor did invite me back on the next season, and I did show up, and I kept traveling across the ferry with a broken back and a hard brace, and I finished the rest of the season 7 in a hard brace with a broken back. And so anyway, that's another story. But pushing through, right? Still pushing through to make things like worse, even though that's not what I was intending. And I just got to show up, got to be a pro. Old patterns die hard. But what I'm talking about here is the 12 weeks, right? It's the critical threshold for lasting change. I'm like, I'm in a back brace for 12 weeks. The bone heals actually quicker, but it's like all this other stuff that happens with the break that you have to keep it sturdy, or there's other damage that can happen. So 12 weeks, I kept noticing this 12 weeks. It's literally how long it takes for neural pathways to solidify in 12 weeks. And athletes, it's their timeline for peak training. Any workout program you get, it's like 12 weeks, you'll notice this change, right? I don't know if you guys like have noticed that. And it's literally the time frame for behavioral change. So 12 weeks, I went from really frustrated to surrendering to what was happening after I finished the show. And then I went to no distractions because I went on disability because I was like, I can't do this again. And so that's when I went inwards. And that's where I found more clarity. And that's where I found more presence, right? Beyond movement, where I just found stillness. And so this timeline is just for you guys. If give yourselves time to discover things, give yourselves time to see changes, because it doesn't happen overnight, because old patterns do die hard. And if we feel like something shifted, revisit it often so that it doesn't flitter away again because of that. So give yourself time. Because 12 weeks of consistency can change what you once thought was impossible to be your new reality. Okay. So where do we go from here? So I just want to take a couple more minutes before I get to the Q&A to share some of the resources I have for you guys. This is a snapshot of what our classroom is inside our community right now. To start showing up on camera right away, we have the welcome video flow, which is 8 prompts, and people will start showing up right away. And then if you move up in the classroom under premium, we have the 100 filming prompts. We also have behind the scenes. Also, that's where I throw all my micro courses, and there's a monthly hangout with me. And then this is a new program that I created for the VIPs. It's called VIP Voice. It's 288 confidence prompts that are delivered to you over the course of a year, so 365 days. And the reason I created this is because of the consistency that is required. I feel like for people to really feel a shift. And so these are the types of questions. They're filming prompts. So you would get the prompt, hit record, less than 30 seconds to answer the question and post it in the community, because these are the questions that I ask in my one-on-ones and my private clients that really help you shift your perspective and then look at something from a different perspective and connect to the emotional body. And from there, so that's this practice. And also VIP unlocks everything else, and our live calls, group calls, as well as the 5 videos in 5 days program that I mentioned to you guys earlier. And also the thing about VIP that I just started doing is, we also have this on-demand video feedback. So you can submit videos and I can give you feedback, so you're not waiting for the next call. Is I have started to invite a few professional friends of mine that are both my friends, some are clients, but are professionals in the biz. And the areas that they cover are set design, makeup for camera, and editing. So I'm so excited to start bringing them into these calls for VIP. And there is someone in here today that is a very dear friend and also a client, and who's doing her first workshop live in our community next week. Natalie, she's here, and excuse me, I'm so excited. I'm choking. Um, she she actually has helped me so much with I'm going to stop sharing this, but she has helped me so much with my set designs and my home designs. And I couldn't have done it without her. When we sold our home in the city to move to the island, she took what we had and she helped us um, make it beautiful using what we had. She helped me with my podcast studio, with my past studio in the old house. And yeah, Natalie, did you want to say hi? And maybe you can share a little bit about your journey and then also your workshop next week, because this is your first workshop and it's a good next thing to set design. We're working on the studio filming. It's called Studio Set Deck Secrets.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Elfina, for that lovely intro. I appreciate it. Yes, my journey. So, as Elfina pointed out, we've known each other for several years now. So, we've been friends for a long time. Uh, when we first met, we connected on the fact that we both really had journeys in our own lives where we wanted to have self-improvement. We just wanted to be better people. And so we really bonded over that topic and self-growth, self-development. And over the course of the years, Alfina and her husband were running a company a few years back and they needed some administrative help. And they offered me a position to join them. And I remember, oh gosh, I probably had been with them for a few months at this point. And Elfina calls me one day and she's like, I've got this great idea, which is very typical of Elfina. And she's like, okay, so there's this service called Bonjoro, and all it requires is for you to do like a 15-second little on camera takes. And it's a way for us to connect with our customers that were trying to call in and connect with project managers that weren't available at that moment. It was basically just to say to them, hey, like we've got your message, we've gotten your message. We know we need to get back to you and we'll get back to you soon. And she's like, so yeah, but if we can do that live on Bonjoro, that would be great. And in that moment, I just remember like panic mode. My body shut down and I was like, I can't be on camera. Are you kidding me? Nope. You're gonna have to hire somebody else. But Elfina was like, you've got this. I can make it happen. And I remember saying to her, oh God, you should Google me. And ladies, please don't Google me. But there's a video that I did years ago for a consulting company that I worked for, and it was horrendous. And Alfina did look it up and she did watch it. And she said, oh, I can work with you on this. We can make things better. That was a few years ago. Since then, Alfina and Andrew actually sold that business. And we've been working separately up until recently. And I knew that Alfina was doing Authentically You. And I started, following her and I became a community member on Authentically You probably in September timeframe. And I saw her challenges and she had the 5-day video challenge. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll give it a try. But at this point, I didn't know. And I was still working on how am I going to fit into the school community? What service offering do I want to provide? And so Alfina's sort of been there, by my side the whole time. And eventually we decided that I was going to work one-on-one with her because like all of us, and actually I have to comment back because at one point Alfina earlier made the comment about, like there's somebody in the past who's judged you, the Lucy Liu story. And I noticed Victoria said, yes, my mom. And it hit me because I went, oh yes, Alfina and I have worked on this because we've had one-on-one sessions where we've had to dive really deep into my fears of being on camera. Because truth be told, and we've uncovered this. The one thing that comes to mind for me, that inner critic that comes to mind for me all the time is, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. There's somebody better than me. Why would anybody want to listen to me? What do I have to offer? There's so many other smarter people, more capable people out there for me. And so Elfina said, no, we've got to find where this comes from. And so we've had a few one-on-one sessions where she's worked with me to identify why that inner critic is there and what's holding me back. And we've had some great sessions. And we've even actually had a couple podcasts where we've discussed my experiences on these one-on-ones. And really, I have to say, it's been so eye-opening, and it's been incredible journey for me working with Elfina one-on-one because I have been able to unravel or identify what it is from my past or what voice, what script from my past has caused me to have this fear of being on camera, and not just on camera, but actually just being me and being authentic. And a lot of it, like Victoria, my mother is one of them. My father's another one. Elfina, you talked about Lucy Liu. When I was your agent or an agent talking to you about Lucy Liu, when I was really young, I had this crazy dream about being a runway model. And I went to a couple modeling agencies, and one of them was so cold to me that she basically was like, yeah, there's no way you could ever be a runway model. And she just basically said, you've just got too much of a, I can't remember the name that she used, but basically just a general look. And that's never left me. And so I know that these voices, these scripts, these people that have said stuff to us in our past, that's what holds us back. And then when I've wanted to be on camera, it's just that inner critic comes in and I go, I can't. And then I've tensed up. And so basically where I'm going with this is I know that working with Elfina over the course of the last few months, doing one-on-ones, doing these sessions where I'm really uncovering why am I lacking the confidence? Why can't I just accept who I am and be authentic has been amazing. It's been a great discovery to the point where here a few years ago I wouldn't do Bonjoro to now I'm holding my own workshop next week, thanks to Elfina's encouragement and great work helping me unravel these inner critic voices that I've been masking on. And I even have contributed. Elvina has a Fearless Friday challenge where you do these 1 minute videos. And I try to be present most weeks as much as I can. And I just do them. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. If I look stupid, if I look silly, I don't care. And even one of them, I point out that I do this lip smacking thing that drives me crazy. And I know that, like many people, I do a lot. So I've been a lot more aware of that and trying to work through these things. So it's been really great, and I'm really excited for my workshop next week. As Elfina mentioned, there was my lip smacking thing, by the way. As Elfina mentioned, I am an interior designer. So, yes, I'm going to be doing a set deck design workshop next week, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be my first time. I'm going to do my best. And yeah, I appreciate everything and thank you all for listening. But I think there's a lot of value from the Authentically You community for all of you.
Yay, thank you for sharing. So, how you guys can join the workshop, we're actually going to be hosting it right inside our community. And so, am I sharing my screen? Yeah, you guys can see. So, right now, I'm doing a promo in our community. The VIP is usually $297, but I've dropped it down to $88 a month for the members of our community. I'm extending that to you guys for this call and the replay. Um, and then also if you want to just join and access the free stuff, go ahead and do that, please. And so, but that if you guys do, please use Karen's link because, and Karen, do you have it nearby? Your affiliate link? If you go to, I should have asked you about that. Yeah. Because she
in
so
just a second.
graciously invited me to share in her community. So please use her link. And you can go to the classroom, click on whatever you need because you'll see it right there and you can get access right away. This is a 70% discount for the VIP. I'll extend it to after this replay, so a couple days. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm giving a one-on-one with me for anyone who joins VIP because I feel like these one-on-ones is so important to give us the foundational start for me to be able to really tune into where you are and then move forward from there. And then because they're mostly live calls. And we're also doing the live cohort calls for the 5 videos in 5 days, where I actually go through the 5 days of the actual program with you. And that's where a lot of magic happened in there. So, yeah. there's Karen's link. And then we'll post that with the replay too. Okay, Karen, just so make sure that people use your link to join. Okay, awesome. And I think that is it. Thank you so much for being present with me, guys. That was really fun. One of my favorite workshops. And I think my time was off because it looks like I've only been speaking for an hour and 36, but I look at my time and I'm pretty sure it's longer than that. I must have started it late. So, do you guys have any questions? I want to open up the floor to everyone.
Renee has a question in the comments.
Okay. Oh, yes. VIP is 88 per month. Yeah. It's dropped down from 297 or 298. Yeah, I'll do that. 88 a month.
And how long is that? Did you say that's available for?
That is, well, it's 88 a month right now, and it's going to go back up. And then I think I'm going to do another little discount before it goes back up to 298. So this is the lower, and then it's going to go up from 88, but not up to 298 yet. I'm still figuring that out because we have a couple of like events that we're doing. So I want to keep it, accessible for people. But this one is going to go away. The 88 is going to go away after the replay for this. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Still working out offers and promos and stuff, but yeah. And you'll notice a lot of eights, and I mentioned the 8-day flow because it's very like non-typical of regular marketing. But if you guys join in the welcome flow, I talk about the number 8. There's a reason for this that I want to extend to you guys. It's a Chinese thing. And so yeah, that's why it's 88 versus like 87 or 97, what you guys are used to seeing. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? Anything you want to chat about? Anything that came up that you want to share? You guys were really active in the chat. I really appreciate that.
I have a
Really cool.
question.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much. This was so informative and it's so nice to meet you both and I appreciate your time. I actually had my daughter sit in for like the first 30 minutes or so before she was going out with a friend because I'm like, it's so important to be around powerful women and understand, that we all have those feelings. So that was just so great that I was able to share that with her. So.
That's amazing.
My question was actually about that. How has this journey that you've been on kind of changed you as a mother?
Oh my goodness. Oh, what a great question. I don't think that I could be who I am without having done the things that I've done to show up for her in the way that I believe I can now. There's just absolutely no way. From the moment that I was in the restaurant with her, from there was the beginning, but then there were years and years of uncovering that and recognizing the patterning that I had inherited from my mother and that I was passing on to her because that was my blind spot. And when that blind spot got revealed to me, it just cut me at my ankles. And so that was a really, really hard time in my life. And we're still working on it now. But the other piece, how old is your daughter?
I have two. I have a 9 and a 12-year-old.
Okay, awesome. It was it the 12-year-old that was listening in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old daughter now, and she has type 1 diabetes, and she's in grade 8, so first year in high school. And so I use a lot of this language with her as well because it's not separate, right? It's all connected. Like I kept saying, I was like, it's all connected, it's all connected. So I speak about it in different ways. Like, for example, when she was really young, naming the ego was a bit different. So I called it, we identified it together and she named it Bad Bunny, which now is like the name of a Grammy winning artist. I'm like, okay, this is like totally not connecting for me anymore. But now she uses the word ego. And so it is imperative to do the work for ourselves, and even more important for me as a mother to my daughter, because if I am not doing that, then I am not able to show up for her in the way that I know she needs me and can have me. And so bringing another layer deeper with my husband, I have a lot of traumas that I've given to her, but I've been working on them. And so now she's in the place where she can recognize, she's like, okay, I can see where I get a lot of my traumas from my dad. I'm like, well, I gave you some too, but I've worked on those. And now she knows that her dad and I are working together. to repair those. We both come from pretty traumatic childhoods. And Natalie, I see your hand up, but I also wanted to invite you to share because we're doing a bit of work on that right now with Ryan. He's a 13-year-old boy. Yeah, did you want to share, Natalie?
I actually did. I exactly for that reason. So yeah, so to your question, Erica, um, so my son is the same age as Elfina's daughter. They didn't go to the same high school or elementary school together or high school, but my son encountered some very, very severe bullying in school in the last few months of grade 7. And over the course of the summer, when he left school, he basically left school with no friends. He lost his best friends, he lost everything. And I really wondered how things were going to adapt for him going into grade 8. But over the summer, I started noticing that something was wrong with my son, and not just depression, but he was diagnosed with clinical OCD at the end of the summer, and it manifested itself due to the bullying and the anxiety that he encountered. And Elfina came into I live in Vancouver, and Elfina lives on Vancouver Island, and Elfina came to visit me in September. She came into town, and so we went for lunch, and I broke down crying over lunch, talking about it because it was my first time witnessing what true OCD can look like, and watching your child go through that was really hard. But Elfina and I, as we've been doing the work, it's really become apparent to me that as I'm working through, the inner critic in myself, these voices, these masks that I put on, the modeling that I had from my mother as a parent, it's become more and more apparent to me that he's taking on a lot of that anxiety. And so with me doing the work, his OCD has become way more under control, which has been amazing because he and I actually have, to use Alfina's word, authentic conversations around all of this, around my healing, what I'm doing to be a better parent, to be more present for him, to understand where he comes from and that emotional connection to him. And so it's been really enlightening, and it's been really good. And he's done a lot of healing, and I've done a lot of healing. So it's an ongoing journey for me as well, but it's definitely had positive outcomes for both my son and I.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I hope it continues to move in positive directions. And it it makes me feel like, I've been kind of on a healing path over the past year or so. And, maybe I need to open up a little bit more with her and share that with her, how and be authentic about it. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah,
Awesome.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's directly related. Our personal journeys, our blind spots pass on, and they manifest in different ways, right? Their symptoms show up differently than it will for us. So it's our job to look at ours so that we release them from theirs, especially at this younger age. It's hard. It's different when they're older, for sure. But still at 13, 12, 13, it's still directly connected.
I just want to point out I like what Renee put in the chat.
Mm.
If you want to read it, Alfina.
As a licensed professional counselor and a mother who can completely resonate what you both are sharing, I just want to say it is never too late to break the generational wounds. I have great conversations with my 27-year-old son. Yes, the generational, the ancestral, and that is what I reference when I'm sharing it. It lands differently for everyone, but when I'm talking about the layers, like we can keep going and we touch into the ancestral wounds that is, and then by doing that, we're actually not just helping ourselves, we are helping humanity because it is not isolated. We are sharing in the collective experiences in traumas. And so this work is really important. Thank you for sharing that, Renee.
I just wanted to say that I thought when we were coming on here, you were going to say, okay, you know, look here and do this and do that. I never thought that this was going to be such a profound workshop. And the idea of, you know, performance being an external thing and embodying what it is that you're doing as an internal thing, it's such a light bulb, because it's true. Like, what is it that, you know, what is it about what I'm saying or that I'm attempting to say that I feel a lack of confidence in, that makes it so difficult for me to say it on camera? Because, you know, if we sit and have a FaceTime and we talk about what we're cooking for dinner, I feel perfectly comfortable. But now when I'm going to talk about the thing that I'm, you know, wanting to share about my group or business or whatever, now it becomes an issue. And it's not, as I thought, oh, because I'm uncomfortable on camera. It's actually more likely because I'm uncomfortable owning that, you know, I can't embody that wholly yet as something I'm confident in sharing. So I think that, you know, it's true. Perfectly said. I really appreciate you, you opening my eyes to that. Because I would
Well,
have spent the next 5 years trying to figure out better camera angles, you know, and it's not that.
they'll come when it needs to. You'll get that too. Yeah. No, but that's great. I love that. That is what opened it up for you. Yeah. Because a lot of us do think like, that's how we get better. We got to learn the skill. That skill that's related to camera, right? But it can be anywhere. It can be an audience. It can be your conversation with your child. Hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, I can't see who's in the room because I can only see like 5 of us. How do I open you guys up? There you go.
There's
Oh,
12
we
of us.
could.
Oh, okay. Wow. There's so many of us in here. Well, there's a few recorders too.
Yeah, there were more, but some dropped off.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we were at 16 at one point.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this, Elfina. I know we've been working on putting it together ever since that post, and I think that I think this is going to be very helpful insight to a lot of people that are, you know, it really is, you know, you think you're struggling with just being on camera, but what we're struggling is with our confidence in ourselves, you know, not our just showing up, but who we are, what we're trying to share with the world is it really is an internal thing. We think of it as external because we're being looked at, but it really is the internal that needs to be addressed, and that's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Thank you so
Yay.
much.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was fun. That was my favorite so far.
Yay.
So yeah, we'll make sure that we get the replay up. I'll talk to you about that after. And then please join us if you can, ladies. It's free to join. Use Karen's link because we're hosting Natalie's workshop. And then we also have the other workshop, which actually how this all started because the conversations were about makeup on camera
Mhm.
in that one post that you had. So we're going to be doing that as well. And then I think what I'm going to do is bring back another workshop I have called Lights Camera Confidence. It's an action workshop and
Yeah,
it's going to get you filming right away. So I'm really excited about that one. So lots of fun things coming up. So I'll make
very
sure
exciting.
we have the invites for you guys. Yeah. Thank you so
Perfect.
much. Thank you.
Thank all of you for coming. I really
Yes,
appreciate you guys showing up
me too.
today.
Me too. What a lovely
Thank
community
you.
you have. Oh, Natalie's waiting to get in. Karen, I think, right? Aren't you? Oh, no.
Oh,
Okay. I thought we
oh,
had.
into the group? No, I already accepted her.
Oh, in the group. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. If you guys have any questions at all, like I'm here, DM me, message anytime. If anything pops up, I love hearing reflections and epiphanies. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.